business. And Jim, doing Humdrum. That's another first for you. I don't know if you're ready for this one, though. Listen, the first album we're going to preview is the Kate Bush album. I'm hiding this, I ripped this actually, folks. And it's called The Dreaming. The title track off this is a very interesting track, especially for Australia. And, well, you saw her a couple of weeks ago, and what happened?
Yeah, she was in the BBC show in London, and she had to fight off the flack of a couple of presenters who...
Oh, he plays Didgeridoo?
Yeah, but she handled it well enough. I think she's really good.
What I find amazing, I mean, it's all right, there's been a couple of Australian groups who have written songs about the Australian Aborigine, but this is a very positive statement by an English artist who's only ever been out here once.
Yeah, well, I think it's a growing awareness. Really,
right.
Yeah.
And in this particular clip, she leaps around like a kangaroo and that. But I might also add, on this particular album, the cover of this album is a photo of her playing the wife of Houdini. I don't know if you knew this. And there's a key in her mouth. That's Houdini there with all the chains and that. And the theory is by Kate and by a few others that she used to give him the good luck kiss every time he used to sort of dive in with all the chains and that, and she'd pass the key. Yeah. So, and actually there it is, with a kiss I'd pass the key. That's going to be very interesting to see what happens there, because it's a very sensitive point in Australia, and that's going to sort of add fuel to the fire. Incidentally, talking about Rolf Harris, he's actually going to do a family Christmas show on Christmas Eve, so that should be worth watching. And also on ABC TV that night, there's a big rumour around that there's going to be a live countdown that night, so here's keeping our fingers crossed. Tight Fit. Now this group, there's many groups coming out of England, don't look like that. Fantasy Island, The Lion Sleeps Tonight, and Bananarama, and with Shy Boy. Yeah. I mean, there's been a resurgence of English groups, I sort of figure, you know, but they're all over the place, they're all different.
Yeah, they're all appearing packaged and ready to go and so
right.
I think none of these things really appear live, you know, they're very manufactured, and certainly seems to be a market for it. Even sort of journalists who are really deep and meaningful before now are into MOR things.
Right. Well, there it is, the Tight Fit album. It's got all those tracks that have been hits out here. One other group I must ask you about is Dexy Midnight Runners. That's a great track. Their current one.
Yeah, well, I've
Come Back Eileen.
He's got a lot of bottle. He's come from the last 4 singles they had flopped.
Well, Gino I thought was great.
Yeah, that was a hit, but then through a period he's always changing bands and stuff. Kevin Rowland, and this one's came back. It was #1 in Britain, and the album was #1 as well.
Well, it's doing well here. One other track, one group that sort of broke through this year, an American group, don't know that much about them, is Huey Lewis and the News. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
Well, it's called Working for a Living, and that's what we're doing. Come Back Eileen. I used to have a girlfriend, believe it or not, called Eileen, and in fact it's called Come On Eileen. Let's stop laughing, Jimmy. But enough of that. Anyhow, it's called Come On Eileen. I like it. All right, Dire Straits.
Yeah, I love this single. It's really atmospheric. The rest of the band are slagging me off for it because they're not a popular band within there.
What do you mean they're slagging you off?
Oh, every time we go to play it, they just think it's like, I don't know. They can't get into it, but I find this really atmospheric.
Being a bit silly, right? All right, listen, as the Private Investigations is a great in England and America these days.
Yeah, everyone's in.
I know. And we've got Iron Maiden. Do you like Iron Maiden?
Not particularly.
Well, for all the headbangers, they're coming in November, so you can bang away then. Joe Cocker is coming out, and of course Madness is coming out next week, so watch out for them on a very special Madness Countdown. And also, there is a little talk, in fact, it's happening. Carol from Rough Trade from Canada, she's coming out and she's going to compare the show in a couple of weeks' time. All right, there's one group that you probably haven't heard of. She's a marvellous lady, I must say. It's called, the girl's called Wendy, and the group is called The Rockets, and it's called Wendy and the Rockets. And this is what you'd call a mini elf. Now, I get so confused now, especially with you used to bring out...
Yeah, minis, double.
Anyhow, but I remember one where I held... just grabbed it out of... raving on... So it's, you didn't see that, did you?
No.
No, well, it was disgusting. All right, listen, thanks for doing Humdrum. And as I say, you know, like... just keep pushing them out, Jim. I'd love to call you Jimmy, I'm not allowed to though. All right, here is Wendy and the...
Okay, that was Yazoo with Don't Go, which was the follow-up single to Only You. This next band are on Rock Arena next Tuesday night. I know that Ivor Davis is in London just now, and he's putting together a band that hopefully will tour and promote the excellent album Primitive Man.
and this is one of the tracks from that album. It's called Glam.
And this is Ivor's tribute to the glam rock era, the David Bowie, Mark Bolan, Gary Glitter thing that was happening in the 70s. This is called Glam.
That was Bow Wow Wow with I Want Candy. A very sweet song, sweet girl. Makes me think of London this year, where we've seen the rise of a lot of funk-based bands that also incorporate girls, be it playing percussion or singing or whatever. There are two that spring to mind. One is a Scottish band called Hey Elastica, and the other one is a new band called King Trigger. It's probably the first time you see them in Australia, I think.
Yeah, perhaps like a lot of Australian people don't know about them, but this song's about to break into the charts.
So see the thing, here's King Trigger with The River.
Across the world now, to Germany, to see a band, a set-up called Trio. This song's massive hit throughout Europe, France, Germany, Belgium, and went well in Britain too. I believe it's taking off in Australia in a big way, and the title of the song must really qualify for the peculiar box. It goes under the title of Da Da Da.
I don't love you.
You don't love me. Aha.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
We're in downtown Egypt.
Okay, thank you, Gavin. And they've been the chartbusters over the past 2 weeks. Actually, we're in the, well, I was going to say we're in the studios, but we're really not. We're in my lounge room, and I've got a group that I've been excited about, for the last 12, 18 months, and they're finally in Australia, and here they are, Simple Minds. And we'll go from left to right, or is it right to left? Anyhow.
Hi, I'm Mike, hello.
I'm Charlie.
Charlie.
I'm Derek.
I'm Mick.
And I'm Jim.
And I'm Millie. No. Listen, the last time I saw you was in Berlin, which was earlier this year, East, West, all of that.
Yeah.
And a lot's happened since then, of course.
Yeah, well, that was midway through a big European tour.
Right.
Knackered us and had a couple of weeks break and started work on a new album, New Gold Dream, which
Right.
was done throughout the summer in Britain.
Right. Was it hard to sort of come up with a new album, Charlie?
No, we just locked ourselves away for about a month.
Right.
And through that we sort of found within ourselves our own like sort of character was building, and it sort of like changed the musical direction slightly, but just enough to like sort of put a bit more output into it, you know, from us, and like it really just happened so quick, the writing.
The one thing I noticed with all your songs though, no matter how much you change in a direction, Derek, that you've always got that sound. You can always say, that's a Simple Mind sound.
Yeah.
Is that sort of something that's been worked upon, or is it just something that's always there?
Electronics, but I'm not really giving it the respect that I want to do it. Yeah.
And the critics are having a go at you in England. Oh, your third album, they love having a go at everyone, but...
Yeah, it's not bad really, though. It's water off a duck's back.
Well, it's number 3, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right.
it's great.
And I must say, I love the album, and Glittering Prize has just blown me out. We must explain this set here today, because it's actually, again, the lounge room. But where did you get the idea of that whole Egyptian thing? Glittering Prize, it's stunning.
Well, we've always really been into visual things, and I just like, we like sort of the whole Cleopatra bit, and
Right.
sand and hot weather and ancient Egypt, yeah.
Right.
Just doing the mystic and...
Well, that's one thing we've got in common, apart from liking your music. Listen, we've got to go on with the show. We've got a group that I think you know a little bit about.
Yeah, Yazoo, they're called. They're an electronic duo, coming off the back of a big success in Britain. I think it's the first independent album to reach #1. The album's called Upstairs at Eric's, and this is called Don't Go.
To you, and they should try to get it with hunters and collectors, because they're talking to a stranger and they may sort of come to some, you never know. Anyway, listen, poor Jim's fallen asleep because Humdrum's gone on and on. Here's a track by Billy Joel called Pressure. It's a great film clip. Shame about the song, said someone. I'm not going to say that though. It's that much, has it really? And look, it's been a pleasure having you lot in my lounge room, believe it or not. came out last year, and it was an extraordinary tour because, like, you came out as support to Ice House, and literally then sort of was able to do your own gig.
Oh, yeah. Since actually the Australian thing was the beginning of a successful run for us, and hopefully it goes on, and hopefully we can come back here soon.
Right. Which blew me out because of all that Egyptian stuff. I want you to accept this, the band to accept this, sort of like a prize.
Yes. Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah.
Pyramid power.
Yes, sort of pyramid power. And, see, no, it's not cheese. Not cheese, is it? No. No, it's not cheese. But as I say, the film clip's magnificent, the song is great, and it's just going to be, it has to be a number one. Whoa! Okay, look, I normally say good night to all of you lot, so I'll say good night to all of you lot. And then I normally say good night Australia, so I'll say good night Scotland, and you can say
Good night, Australia.
Here it is, glittering prize.
Shine on, shine a light.